All right. All right. Welcome back to another episode of Live Today Health Talk. And it is a beautiful Sunday afternoon. And I've got some streaming to do. So we are going to say thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to open up with a prayer and a scripture. And then we're going to get right down to our topic, because our topic is on what's relevant today, but it's also, as you know me, has something to do with health. So today we are going to be talking about taking a media detox. I want to know how many of you are going to be up for the challenge. And if you're up for the challenge, you will get more information on it. But how many of you is just going to catch your eyes and you're going to say, what? A media detox? Well, it's a detox, all right, because you'll be astonished at some of the statistics that one of the videos that I found. Can I say my guest speaker? I guess I can if I'm using his video, right? But one of my presenters has found for me. So, I was doing research and I came across somebody that did the research already. So therefore, I'm going to say, why should I write it all up when they've done the math for me, right? So I'm going to share that with you today. And then at the conclusion of my discussion, then you tell me whether you feel that it's yay or nay, and whether you concur with the statistics, and then that tongue twisting today, wow. And then whether you want to take part in this detox. So that's going to be our health strategy going into next week. All right. So with no further ado, dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you once more for another day, another beautiful day, another day that you've given us that we will never see again. So I give gratitude that I am so thankful for this day. You've allowed me to be on this side of the platform, on this side of the field, right? You've allowed me to be on this side, still breathing air, still in my own home, and still even working. So I have a lot to be thankful for, Father, and I say thank you. So, Father, as we move forward into sharing your message, sharing your word, and then sharing a message that I hope will bring healing to some people, or at least to take away from some of the stress and some of the anxiety that we have been confronted with throughout not just COVID, but now with the riots and with the call to action that people are trying to put together. I hope that this this platform will some way give people some additional tools to implement the call to action in a civil and peaceful manner. So as I close this prayer, in Jesus' name, I pray and I ask that you lead as always. So diminish me if I'm leading in the wrong direction, and you take control. Amen. All right, so our scripture for today, let me go back to it, is coming from Romans 10:10. And it reads, for with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. So that's Romans 10:10. So I've got a lot, as always, to share. So therefore, I am not going to be talking before you long. I'm going to go back and attempt to share my screen so we can get right into it. So today's sponsors are, as always, Revelation Wellness. I have on my RevWell t-shirt today, And what is my motto for today? Kindness wins wars. So chew on that for a moment. The next sponsor is Veteran Yoga Project. With Veterans Yoga Project, I have been able to use their platform for mindful movement, which is yoga, resilience yoga. So with all the things that we're dealing with today, it puts that extra calm into my day, being able to, one, gratitude again, move my body, being able to, two, breathe, meditation. Now, you know me, my meditation is on the word, this scripture that I like, the scripture I just shared with you, but also to alleviate pain. So during the course, I ask you to leave for the veterans, not just their years of service and if they are an Army veteran, but also their pain regimen. We ask them to give us a, oh goodness, I got to work on my memory now. I asked them to give us their pain tolerance level. So I may normally start out on the class on Saturday, I would say, because I'm doing, trying to do other workouts to keep my body moving since in the house and the gyms have been closed. And I've been sore. Not saying that I'm not sore normally every day. The bones, the joints are sore. But it's the movement that helps alleviate the soreness. I tell you, I don't go rubbing down in the Bengay and all those things that, the absence, well, those things that smell, those toxic chemicals that you may smell. Now, I shouldn't say toxic because they're not unhealthy. But at any rate, it's the movement, ladies and gentlemen, the movement that helps with the inflammation, the movement that helps with the joint pain. Now, please don't alleviate the diet, because exercise without dieting, not dieting to lose weight, but without a proper diet will do you no good. So you have to put the two together, okay? But I will say, with the Veteran Yoga Project, with the mindful yoga, it is deemed specifically for trauma, for PTSD, and for any other type of just, I don't want to say ailments, because that's not what it's for. It is to complement what you're already doing for any of your stress and anxiety. So those movements are to complement, not to replace. Don't get me wrong, not to replace, but just to complement. So at the beginning of the class, I will normally ask what your pain level is. And with the anticipation that at the end of the class, once we have moved our bodies and our joints, we will eliminate or at least disseminate the pain level. So the pain will dissipate from maybe a 9 to like a 5, or maybe from a 5 to like a 2, or how about from a 5 to 0, and that way you can take those tools home with you, what you've learned in the class, and you can use it at home, and then you know what works for you to alleviate the pain before you go popping the pain meds. All right. So plenty of water, proper diet, and proper exercise. And then don't forget your sleep. Okay. So that is our health tip for today. It's also the shout out to the sponsors for the day. And before I go from the sponsors, I can't forget, Live Today Health Talk is streaming live on the Streaming Inspirational Broadcast Network. If you'd like to call in to join me on the network, the number is 701-791-9498. And behind me, my Black Lives Matter poster. So I have to give a shout out also to Women Veteran United Committee. We have just ended a 3-month-long virtual retreat where we have been sharing nuggets from how to do veterans claims to how to understand and read bills and legislation for veterans so we can look up and see what's out there for us, to also, oh my goodness, we shared some health topics. But the last one, and I know I'm missing so many because we've had a plethora of speakers and presenters, those that shared dealing with PTSD and MST. But the last one was on our finances, how to empower ourselves to get out of or not fall victim to this economic crises that we are currently in. Because if you listen to those economics, those that talk about our money for the US, they say it's going to get worse before it gets better. So listen up. If you have investments, watch them. If you have not started investing, pay off your debt so that you can invest, because the economists keep saying that it's going to get worse before it gets better. All right. So let me move into sharing this screen and seeing what we can bring up. So stand by. The first presentation I have is from a program that aired last week, and they had some dynamic speakers, but the program is an hour long. If you want to watch it, I'm just going to share the poem that I liked, the poem that they had at the beginning of the program. So again, like I said, the program is over an hour long. You can go back and watch it for yourself if you care to. All right, but let me just share the beginning of it, and that way you'll get the information. So Healing in Action 2020 is presented by the
See ourselves, and we have found you again.
Let me back this up because this poem is wonderful. So it's on the National Day of Racial Healing. How many of you knew that June 25th was deemed the National Day of Racial Healing? And they do this presentation every year, okay? So stand by.
Great ancestors, you are breath, you are bridge, you carry us over tumultuous time. You who can hear and answer with quick remedy, you are ready before we ask. You who can speak through tongues of trees and fire and water, this earth cannot hold you. We pound the ground and you appear, O ancient ones. You who can make lightning strike with the flick of a skirt. You who can make tornado turn with the spin and span of hips, take us there, to the place of knowing, to the hall that leads to the doorway of you, O holy ones. You of the first light, you who know the potential of possibility, pulsing in the dark, deliver us unto our gifts. You who have sunlight in your fingertips, touch our drums, make us hear the rising, make us move a steady stump, a choir of voices so majestic, heaven hides us in a tapestry of light, or we are stars, blankets of wonder, sky bright eyes seeing the invisible, visible. You who have returned, you have turned our faces so that we see ourselves, and we have found you again in places we would have never imagined. You make our limits infinitely long. Our vision is clearer with eyes closed, and even there, you still stand in full color, vibrant and eager to serve. They come coffled and cuffed, their feet heavy with uncertainty. You can hear them breathing from miles away, shallow and short. Tethered souls don't know how to breathe deep, and auction blocks do not lend to comfortability, naked and frigid. Tar babies smooth like skin, lathered up real good to conceal any wounds. Now, you know massa like I'm free from disease, or at least appear to be. Shh. get quiet. Now you know massa like 'em silent, and blocks do not lend to protest or chatter. Chattel have no say. Just smile big, show them pearly teeth, stretch, long, push, pull, parade, grope, fold over, wide open. Let us see from behind how much you are worth, how well you can work, how familiar, ancient, and new. New is new niggas for sale, fresh cargo. It's new niggas for sale, a lively stock. Don't you see them? Can't you hear it? In the whistle of the wind, in the howl of the breeze, in the pour of the rain. Can you taste it? Sugar cane, sweet indigo, rich rum like intoxicating. Oh, there is something about suffering that makes men mad and makes others money. Something about others doing your dirty work that somehow seem to keep your hands clean and your conscience clear, clever. Oh, can't you smell it? Oh, it's in the seasoning. Something that makes them more tender, much more palatable, more suitable for enslavement. There is something in the breaking of a spirit that makes a better slave. Can't you feel it? In the thickness of injustice, in the gaze of despair, the click clank of cuff, they come coffled off the good ship. Jesus, it's the longest trip for the Africans, where rich men play with the lives of humans every day. Oh yes, there is something. There is something about suffering that makes men mad and makes others rebel.
On behalf of the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, welcome to this virtual racial healing event, Healing in Action. I welcome you in my role as President and CEO of the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. But I join you today as an African American woman and mother, someone who is experiencing the events of recent weeks on a very personal level. For me and for many of us, there's no safety from the fear and grief that George Floyd's death taps into. The surge of energy we are witnessing across this country and internationally is the collective outpouring against the brutal force of structural racism. As painful as this time can feel for us as individuals, facing the painful truths is bringing us together, and that is what inspires me. We have the chance to leverage this energy toward change, to take the righteous fury and determination we see in every call for leadership and channel it into positive action. Every person you hear from in the next hour has an idea of where and how to take action on behalf of our common humanity. All of the action steps are not new. We have invested in knowledge and know the way forward. But it takes will to produce change. And today, our collective will is palpable. That's what gives me hope for our children. For us at the Kellogg Foundation, children are at the heart of everything we do. 90 years ago, our founder, Will Keith Kellogg, committed his fortune to an organization so that children could face the future with confidence. This virtual racial healing is in honor of his legacy. Healing is a physical need right now, a process that we can begin today and continue as we move toward action. It starts with hearing and seeing each other, with listening to another person's truth and sharing yours. In fact, it is this hard work that makes change possible. Whatever has brought you here today, listen for where you can join, where you can turn what you are feeling in this moment into positive action. Thank you.
All right.
Well,
Now I want to ask you, are you a change maker? So we've shared this video before, but I want to.
Look, if you're somebody that's consumed my content before, you know that everything I talk about pretty much comes from a place of wanting to make it better. How can we improve? How can we make progress? So that is the only way I view things, even stuff that's very emotional and personal to me, like U.S., Iran, some of the challenges that we faced in the past before. So the disclaimer I want to give you up front is if you have a hard time being objective right now, or if you have a hard time being able to watch a video and reasoning today because your emotions are too high, I suggest you not watch this video today, or maybe this week. Maybe watch it 2 weeks from now, but don't watch it today. I completely respect you for doing that. Now, having said that, the other thing I want you to keep in mind is the fact that valuetainment is very comfortable talking about controversial topics. I don't know that I've never touched up on no controversial topics. All the mafia interviews, political interviews, you know, people I've had that they've said you shouldn't have this guy because this guy's gotten, you know, deplatformed. You shouldn't bring that guy politically. That guy's too Democrat. That guy's too Republican. That person sued too many people. He's killed too many people. This guy. So we've had a lot of different controversial people on this channel, and I'm comfortable doing that. And the way we do it, we don't do it from a bandwagon standpoint, which is, let me see what I need to say to get my viewers to like me more, because it's all about liking. And if they like you, you do better. It's not my style. I didn't create a channel to do vlogs and you see my life and my dogs and my puppies and my cats and look how awesome it is. Oh my gosh, I love this guy. It's not my DNA. That's not how I'm wired. So I tell you based on how I view things and the things that I experienced in my life. So if that makes sense to you, then great. If it doesn't, I also respect it. You don't have to agree with what I'm talking about. You can comment below and trash this video if you want to. I'm comfortable with that as well. But this is my response video to events that took place with the death of George Floyd. So today, we're going to talk about a few different things. One is events, facts. One is, you know, some of the things that's good actually of what's happened with this crisis that we've experienced. Then we talk about who and what is the cause of the events that took place with George Floyd. Who is to blame? Who benefits from America being divided? Why does it keep happening? Can racism and discrimination be eliminated? And then some solutions for you to be thinking about at the end, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes. So let me get right into it. Facts. George Floyd, 46-year-old man, gets up there. New York Times tells us 8 minutes and 40 seconds, Derek Chauvin was on his neck. Derek Chauvin was on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds while George Floyd is saying, I can't breathe. Please, I can't breathe. Everybody's screaming. He's saying he can't breathe. Get off of him. But the man, the officer, kept the knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Think about it for a second. If you do MMA, and you watch UFC, you don't even do MMA. If you watch UFC, when the guy gets tapped out, what do? They go like this, and immediately the ref comes and boom. How long have you seen guy go like this? Actually think about the question. UFC, chokehold. How long have you seen the guy tap out? How long? 2 seconds? 3 seconds? You ever seen 8 minutes and 46 seconds? I don't know. That's a long time. I've never seen 8 minutes and 46. The round is 5 minutes. What are you doing for 8 minutes and 46 seconds? And you got 3 other people, 4 other people there that could actually help you out, 3 other people, and nothing happened. So absolute disgrace for what took place, and I'm not surprised that it upset a lot of people. Now, the people involved, Derek Chauvin obviously is the main officer with the knee on the leg, 37-year-old, by the way. He was charged with 3rd-degree murder, 2nd-degree manslaughter. Then you have Officer Coons himself, Officer Lane, and Officer Tao. They were charged with aiding and abetting murder. Okay, one of them was 26 years old, 137, 134 years old. So that's them. Those are the facts that we have so far here, right? So that's what they've been charged so far, which, by the way, these could change, and odds are Derek is going to go to jail. And if I'm a betting man, I'm assuming the other 3 are going to be released based on how these things typically have worked out in the past. Okay, he'll go to jail, the rest of them. And by the way, how long he goes to jail, I don't know. Because if you go back and think about somebody that's close to him, back in March of 1991, Rodney King went through a similar challenge where his Sergeant Coons, Stacy Coons, told the other 4 officers to hit, you know, Rodney King with the baton, and they were constantly being hit. And that was recorded back in the days when we didn't have social media. And Rodney King was 25 years old at the time. George Floyd was 46 years old. Rodney King survived. George Floyd didn't survive. Stacy Coon went to jail for 30 months. So if we make the comparison, Rodney didn't die, 30 months. And then afterwards, today he's a limo driver, by the way. You can actually go, we'll put the link below for you guys to watch. He's a limo driver for a company called Music Express. He's driven Al Gore, D.L. Hughley, and other people around. By the way, every time he goes in L.A. and he drives people around, people record him and say, hey, how does it feel? Do you regret what you did to Rodney King? He's had to live with that event his entire life. And FYI, that riot caused 63 people to die in L.A. I came to the States November 28, 1990. This event was March 3rd, 1991. 4 months after I came to the States, this took place, okay? So the 92 riots were obviously later on, but I came to the States during that time. It was actually absolutely scary on what was going on. People had no clue what was going on. I was 12 years old. I didn't speak English. You turn on the TV, everybody's agitated, and I'm in the middle of it in LA. So those are some of the people involved here. So we don't know how long he should get, but it can be life, but it's going to be definitely more than 30 months. So that's one thing. We'll see what's going to happen there. The other person that's involved in this case is the camera person, which is a 17-year-old young lady, Darnella Frazier, who's recording the entire time herself. And while she's recording it the following day, her video is the one that goes viral. And you can see there's a video of her talking, saying, I cannot believe what happened. It happened right here. She's crying in tears. People are trying to comfort her. Happened right here. The video went viral. I cannot believe I witnessed this whole thing. She's talking about this. So those are some of the events. Now, let's talk about the next part on why she plays such an important role. The worst invention for bad cops and criminals, the worst invention for bad cops and criminals is this right here. This is by far the worst invention. This right here is the worst invention for bad cops and criminals. I've sat with many mafia members. I've sat with Sammy the Bull Gravano, Michael Francis, Frank Collada. I mean, you name them, I've probably, Philip Leonetti, Ralph Natali, all the bosses, anybody that's pretty much a boss or somebody that was an influential figure in the mob world, I've pretty much sat down with them, right? They will tell you this is the worst time to be a mobster. Why? Because of phones. So social media, phones, and cameras have ruined everything for bad cops and criminals. This is a bad time to be in a crime business, and this is a bad time to be a cop. Now watch this. What is changing everything is citizen journalism. She may not know it, but at 17 years old, Darnella Frazier is a journalist, not a journalist licensed 32,900 full-time journalist that worked for the 1,400 newspapers. No. She's a citizen journalist. She takes this out. She records a live. She's officially a citizen journalist. Believe it or not, this is very, very important and positive for advancement. Very, very, because nowadays, how many videos have you seen where the driver takes out the camera, puts it on the cop, and the cop says, put that phone down, stop recording me. And the man says, I know my rights. Well, I do too, I'm a police officer. And the driver says, I'm a lawyer. And the police officer says, a lawyer who does Uber? Yes, I need to make money. I'm a lawyer and I know my laws. Okay, then keep recording. But there's many of these videos, by the way. This scares the hell out of bad cops. This is a weapon. So remember this. This is a beautiful thing right here that's a weapon, right? So now, let's continue. Let's continue. Obviously, this event takes place. We're divided. Okay, we're divided. What's going on? What do we do? But if you look at cops and protesters, when it comes to cops, you got good cops, bad cops, and criminals. Yes? Yes. Protesters. Some people want to protest and want to kind of be heard. We're upset, White House. We go in front of D.C. Hey, we're upset, L.A. We're upset. There's peaceful protesters. There's looters and criminals. On both sides, you have criminals. And both sides, you have bad cops and looters. On both sides, you have people that exploit opportunities. Crime's going on, let me go grab this Louis bag. That's criminal. Crime's going on, let me get this Tesla car and drive. Crime's going on, let me drive this car. Crime's going on, let me go and get this Target. Let me get this computer. Let me get this criminal. Crime's going on, no, I'm a cop. Let me show you my badge. I got a gun. You better listen to me, right? That's abuse when you exploit. But we have to realize majority of cops are good people. Yes? Yes. Majority of protesters are peaceful. Yes? Yes. We found an area of commonality. It's very easy right now to find things that we don't agree with. Area of commonality. Most cops are good cops. I'm willing to bet somebody in your family or friends or cousins, somebody's a cop. Yes? And I'm willing to bet that somebody you know went and protested and they're a peaceful protester. Yes? Perfect. So it's not that everybody's bad. It's not that every cop is bad. It's not that every protester is bad. It's the fact that there are one that make the rest look bad. There are a few that make the rest look bad. We can't forget about this. Now, I also understand this topic being an emotional topic. I did a video the other day with I actually did a Zoom with all my brokers in the company, and I asked everybody to have an emergency meeting for me to have my say with them, so they heard it from me first before I make the video for you. I didn't want to make the video on valuetainment and then make the video to you. This whole event took place at the end of the month, and the end of the month for my business, the busiest days where I'm working 16, 17-hour days because it's closed out and was the biggest month we ever had in May. So I gave this message to them. Now I'm giving a message to you. So now, let's talk about this next part here, okay? Let's talk about this next part. It's very easy when you are not emotionally attached to a situation to give your opinion on things. Let me explain. It's very easy while we're talking about this here and I'm writing the stuff out, I'm preparing for my notes. Our food comes from Jersey Mike. I tell one of my guys here, and I said, look, if your father just passed away, you're emotionally grieving. If my father's never passed away, I don't know the pain. But I can say, I understand, I wish you nothing but the best. It's gonna be all right. Time's gonna heal all wounds. You know these things that people say, right? How do I know? I don't know. I've never had my father die. 30 minutes later, our camera guy, Paul, comes up to us. We're having lunch over there, Jersey Mike. Kai's sitting here, I'm sitting here. Josh, my wife is right here. He comes and he says, you can tell something's bothering him. He comes and says, I have to tell you something. So what's that? I just got a call right now, my dad just passed away. I said, what? He said, my dad just passed away. We all look at each other because just 30 minutes prior to that, we spoke about that. And Kai's like looking and said, I don't even want to think about getting that call. Your dad just passed away, my dad just passed away. I went up to him and said, listen, man, if you got to go home, go. I said, I'm going to get out of here. 2 weeks ago, Memorial Day, he went to his family to visit his dad. 2 weeks later, his dad dies. He came and said, Pat, I got to go visit him. I said, do your thing. 2 weeks later, his father passed away. My dad is still alive. I can say, man, I am so sorry. I feel your pain. I don't know the pain. I don't know the pain. So it's naive and arrogant for somebody who is emotionally not experienced what's being experienced today to be able to logically say, I fully understand where you're coming from. I mean, I totally understand why somebody doesn't want to hear any of this stuff. This is why I said, if you can't objectively watch something today or be able to reason today because emotions are so high, don't even worry about watching it. Come back to it a couple weeks later. If you're watching it right, then more power to you. But I understand why not to, because there's logic, there's emotion. There is reason, there's feelings. When feelings are high, when emotions are high, we don't reason well. We don't logic well. When our feelings are high, when our feelings are low, we're able to reason better. What did you say? I'm going to tell you I'm going to Papa get killed. Boom, you don't even know what I'm going to do to you. Step away. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Yeah, man, it's going to get ugly. I'm glad I'm calmer now. Things are better, right? In this situation, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, calmer, right? Because we're able to reason better. So I'm also not naive, and I know how frustrating it is when people who have never had kids, they tell people how to parent. When people who have never ran a company are telling people how to run a company. When people who have never been poor want to claim they know what it's like to be poor. When people who have never been on a welfare, oh, I feel so bad. I grew up as a kid going and picking up welfare, and my mother would send me to Albertsons on Glendale to go pick up women products. As a 13-year-old kid, you know what's the worst thing a 13-year-old kid wants to do is that. But I also know what it's worth to be worth a couple hundred. Why? Because I was there, hated it, changed it. Chappelle said, when I was a kid, my dad would tell me, turn off the heater, turn off the heater. I got so sick of it, I told my dad, I'm going to make so much money that I can leave the heater on as much as I want because I'm sick of being broke, right? That can produce different kind of emotions if you use it properly. So now, that's this part. Fine. So we've covered the facts. We've covered some of the history to see what's going to happen to Derek based on what happened to Stacy. Okay. We've covered the power of what Darnella Frazier does as a citizen journalist, right? And how much of an impact the smartphone has made to bad cops and criminals. We've talked about good cops, good protesters, bad cops, bad protesters. We've talked about logic and reason. Now let's go a little bit more over here. Who's behind this? And what's causing this? Who to blame? That's really the issue. Who is to blame? Is it Trump? It's Trump's fault. No, it's not Trump's fault. Obama is who divided America. No, it's not Obama's fault. It's the Democrats. No, it's the Republicans. No, you know, it's Soros. It's George Soros's fault. No, it's the Koch brother. It's Charles, since he's the one it's Charles's fault. He buys his president. He wakes up in the morning and says, for your birthday, I'm going to buy you this president. It's his fault. It's the educational system. It's the white's fault. It's the black man's fault. It's the black person. No, it's the white man's fault. Whose fault is it? Maybe it's the media's fault. Why is it the media's fault? What about media's fault, Pat? I don't understand why media. Well, who benefits the most from America being divided? Actually think about that question. If you're going to have a debate tonight with your family, if you're going to ask a question to kind of start a conversation with your kids, maybe ask the question, who benefits the most from America being divided? Actually think about that. Who does? Who benefits the most from America being divided? Is it a political party? Do Democrats benefit if we're divided? Or do Republicans benefit if we're divided? Who's the enemy? Is it China? Does China benefit the more they look at America and say, oh my gosh, awesome, look at all these protesting. It's beautiful. You think China's excited we're having protesting right now? Actually think about it. You think China's excited? You think Russia's maybe excited? You think the Middle East is excited, laughing at America, saying, look what you're doing and you're judging us? You think they're excited? You think the Middle East is excited? Or do you think the media is excited? Why is the media excited? Why is the media excited? Why is the media actually excited? Well, the media is excited because if Darnella Frazier has her video and she's going live, and she's got 100,000 people that are watching her live, guess who's winning? Facebook is winning. Facebook, did you see, link, go watch this. No way. Facebook wins, traffic. Facebook's a form of media, right? Did you see on the news? Did you see the news? Did you see the news? Watch this news on the CNN, Fox, MSN. Who wins? Media wins. The more divided we are. The less divided we are, the less we watch TV. Now watch this. Person asked me a question and says, you know what? You know, this one CEO that I'm mentoring, he says, I'm in the pastry business and I make these cookies, is what he makes, whatever he calls them. I make these pastries. I said, and he's afraid, is that a good market to be a part of? I said, when do people buy pastries? Good times or bad times? I don't know. I said, okay, let me ask this question a different way. When do people drink alcohol more? Good times or bad times? When do you drink more alcohol? When your marriage is doing great or you just got a divorce? Your wife leaves you, your husband leaves you, you go to the bar, you're drinking. When do you drink alcohol? When do you smoke cigarettes? When stress is high. When stress is high, there's a lot of great industries that do well, including who? Media. Do you really think media wants to see United States of America? Do you really think that? I don't know. Do you really think they're excited about us getting along? Do you really think it profits them? I don't know. Let's continue. Why does it keep happening? Why does it keep happening? I have a conversation. I'm the guy that likes to ask everybody, so what's on your mind? What do you think about what's going on? Why does this keep happening? Can we really stop this from happening? Really? Can racism, discrimination really be eliminated? Do you really think racism and discrimination can be eliminated? Do you really think that? Do you really think racism and discrimination can be eliminated? By the way, when we think about racism, all we think about is what? Racism of whites to blacks, right? Racism of whites to blacks. I can tell you, for me, when I was a kid going to high school, when I went to high school, all the kids that had their nice cars parked outside, the BMW convertibles, were white, a lot of them. And I was a Middle Eastern from a divorced family, mom and dad broke, and I'm driving a 1979 Honda hatchback, yellow, and it only goes drive, it doesn't go reverse. $500 is all my dad could afford to buy a car for me, a 1979 Honda Accord. And I'm looking at all these BMW people, and I'm competing with all these guys. You don't think secretly you're sitting there saying, you know what, you privileged little bam, 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 bam. Of course. I was in a way not excited about it. So who is really racist? Can blacks be racist against whites, or is it just whites against blacks? Are there black people that don't like white people? Are there white people that don't like black people? Are there Latinos? Racism's not going away. It's just a flat out thing. I think one of the biggest challenges for people to think that racism is 100% going to go away. Yes, it is less today than it was 20 years ago, than it was 50 years ago, than it was 100 years ago, than it was. If a person says, how could you say that? Look what's happening to America right now. How could you say that? Yeah, how could you give the argument of the fact that we don't, racism is not more today than it is before? Because it's not. We share everything. We go same rest. We go everywhere together, right? There's no such thing as we don't go to a certain place or the other. It is better today than it was before. Will it 100% be eliminated? I don't know about that. Why? We're always discriminating and judging people. We discriminate people based on their colors all the time. We discriminate people against their height. Look how tall he is. We discriminate against weight. We discriminate against nationality. We discriminate against small feet. You ever seen men that have small feet? What do you tell them? Oh, look at that guy. The guy with size 6 feet shoes. What's the first thing you say when you see a man with small feet? Actually think about it. That's a form of judging, discriminating, right? What do we do when we see people with small hands? Oh, look at Trump's got small hands. Remember when the whole thing was about small hands? What do you do when you shake someone's hands? It's very small and it's like sweaty. You know those hands when you shake them, like, oh my gosh. You walk, did you see how small that guy's hands were? That's a form of discriminating and judging somebody, right? Bald, big nose, big ears, clothes, watch, tattoos. Oh, he's got tattoos. He must be a tough guy. Oh, that guy doesn't have tattoos. He must be just a stuck-up guy and square guy. Look at him. He doesn't have any tattoos. You get judged whether you have them. You get judged whether you don't have them, right? Car, what you drive, no matter what. Is this really going to go away? You really think that's 100% going to go away? You really think that? I don't think it's going to go. You're at Venice Beach. You're about to pick your team, okay? You got 5 guys lined up. You got first pick. One of the guys is a 7'1" white guy. Everybody else is black. They're all 5'8", 5'9", 5'11". You're playing basketball. Who do you pick up? The 7'1" white guy. You're discriminating. It is a form of a discrimination. You're picking out. Why don't you pick the other guy, right? You got an audience. You're looking at 5 people. You want to pick to be your financial advisor. Out of the 4, 3 of them are wearing ripped shorts and ripped shirts. One of them is wearing a nice Xenia suit, Ferragamo shoes and buckle, and a nice Rolex watch. Which one are you hiring to be your financial advisor? You understand what I'm saying here? That's a form of discrimination. We all jump to conclusion and judge people all the time. You do it when you go to a nightclub. You do it when you go into the store. You do everything we do this. Is this really going to go away? I don't know about that. Now let's keep continuing here. 2020 census, race questions. This is for me. Okay, this is for me. Who do I identify with? I'd go and say, what's my race, today? What you see on the list, if you want to pull it up, you can go 2020 census race question. It says white, I'm not white. It says black or African American, I'm not black or African American. It says American Indian or Alaska Native, I'm not either. Are you Asian? I'm not Asian. Are you Native American or Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander? I'm not. What am I? Other. There is no Assyrian, Armenian, Iranian, or Middle Eastern. Why not? I'm offended. When I came to the States, it's crazy when I came to the States is, I was called this in Germany and in US, but more here than in Germany. I was called turban head. I was called camel jockey. You know how many people thought I went to a school on a camel? Like literally I said, hey camel jockey, do you go on a school on a camel? I bet you go to school on a camel. Like I've never seen a camel in my life. Now donkeys, different story. We have in Miriam. We don't have camels. I've never seen a camel. So I bet you go on a school on a camel jockey. I've been called a terrorist many times. By the way, in the army, I've been called it many times. Taliban, you name it. Anything that like that I've been called. So now watch what happens with me. I become an advisor day before 9/11. Morgan Stanley Deanwood. I get my license. Eventually, I'm going to another company, Transamerican. I'm training this one guy who's a Mormon. I'll never forget this. Nicest guy, him and his wife. I met him when I'm in the elevator going down to Universal Studios movie with my girlfriend at the time. I see these 2 guys making out hardcore. I'm like, dude, this is a little out of control. Like kissing and touching and all this other stuff. I'm looking at my girl. I'm like, wow, pretty good for these guys, man. Maybe we should like team up right now as well and kind of getting on the elevator because these guys are going at it, right? So finally I'm like, hey, why are you guys so crazy? Oh, we just got married 3 hours ago. Oh, okay, then you got it. So you got married and your honeymoon is, yeah, it is. We're just you're just a basic little man. Okay, cool. So I talked to him. I eventually end up recruiting him. He becomes an advisor. He was a future commodity broker. So he starts working with me. The guy's name is James. And I trained him. When I trained him, we went to a client. Never forget this. We go to this client, Thousand Oaks, nice family, money, beautiful home. And I go in, I say, yes, I'm a financial advisor. I'd like to be able to help you out with your finances. This is my specialty is. And they said, where are you from? I said, Iran. And they said, are you a Mormon yourself? I said, no. We said, you know what? We would like to work with somebody that's Mormon, if you don't mind. If you have any advisors that are Mormons, we'd like to talk to them. I said, but I'm probably the best guy we have at our office right now, my company. He says, no, we'd like to talk to a Mormon. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I can't show it to him because it's a guy I'm training. He's trying to, don't worry about it. Yo, Pat, I'm so sorry. Family, you know how they are. They just kind of said, no, it's all good, man. Don't worry about it. But I was upset. You have no idea how pissed off I was when that took place because I don't want to be judged with what I am. When I started an insurance company, it's one of the most annoying stories ever for me. I started an insurance company, and this big company, you know the name, it's a massive company, Fortune 100 company, very big company. We're at an event at Napa Valley, and my son is 6 months old, and I took my dad and my wife, and they're going to different events, and the main guy, number 3 guy in the company, they're going baking and cooking with a group. My wife and my dad take my spot. I'm supposed to go. I say my dad to go, my wife. So they go. The guy starts talking to my wife because he was a new guy that came on board. He talks to my wife and he says, well, let me ask you, we're a little bit concerned because what do you think about Armenians yourself, Jennifer? And he's talking about, what do you mean? We know we've had a lot of insurance companies and we've dealt with a lot of Armenians, and a lot of insurance fraud happens amongst Armenians. So we're a little bit uncomfortable working with your husband because he's Armenian, So how do you feel about that? And he's trying to pry stuff out of my wife. I'm like, what, are you kidding? So they come back. And this is my first time I'm getting this much time with my 6-month-old son. So they come back. My dad says, please don't say anything to Patrick. Please don't say anything to Patrick. Guess what my wife says? I have to tell him something. My wife comes to whisper to me what was said. She says it to me. I flip out. I said, he said what? He says, I have to tell Patrick or else Patrick's going to get upset. When she tells me, I contact my attorneys. I contact my advisors. I said, what is it? So, well, you can't really do anything because you can't prove all this other stuff. So, okay, great. They were getting ready to come to my office to drop my contract. So I called the meeting even sooner. I asked them to fly out and come to me. They came 1 week sooner. At my office, I'm there, my wife, my chief compliance officer, director of finance, my team, he's sitting right there across the table from me, okay? And he says, well, let's go ahead and he's thinking he's gonna drop the contract. So before we get started, let me start the meeting first, before you do. Is that fair? Yes, go ahead, okay. I said, look, there's this little rumor going around that you're uncomfortable working with us because the CEO of the company happens to be Armenian, and you've had some challenges working with Armenian brokers in the insurance space. And I just want you to know, for somebody that lives in America where the system is run on a capitalistic society, this is what I like to see happen with us. I'd like to you to judge me based on the results we get you, not based on me being Armenian. And I like to make this a business issue, not a race or nationality issue. Are you comfortable with that? I'll never forget this meeting. He goes like this. You've made your point. Great. We're going to give you 1 year. And then I said, no problem. Do you have anything to talk about? No. Meeting ended 5 minutes. They walked out. We've been still doing business with these guys still today. You know what happened with that guy? We became very good friends. Upon his retirement in Miami, Florida, we rented a yacht to retire. The 5 people that gave speeches on his retirement, the last one that spoke was his best friend. I was the second to the last speaker that gave a speech on his retirement.
Now, if you want to hear more, be my guest, because this is Value Entertainment, and you can look him up. But let's get to the detox.
So in the next few minutes, I want to make a case to you why you ought to go on a media detox and cleanse your mind, your soul, your spirit with all the garbage media's fed us the last 3-4 months. But before doing so, I want to share with you a tweet. I tweeted this out a couple of days ago, and I said, first, the media used COVID-19 to scare the hell out of us so we would stay home, cost 45 million people their jobs, many businesses out of business. Stats are saying 50% of restaurants are not going to open up again. Trillions of dollars of stimulus costing taxpayers money, so we got scared. They used COVID-19. Then as COVID-19 started slowing down cases, the next thing they did is they used a tragic event to divide America. And everybody were like debating, oh, you can't say this, or you can't say, oh, Black lives, you can, all lives matter, you can't say something like that. Boom, everybody clashes, and they're happy because they're getting more eyeballs. So phase number 1 was use COVID-19 for us to stay home. Phase number 2 is use a tragic event to divide America. What's phase number 3? Use this tragic event and go support your cause and protest. Protest. You ought to go do it. And people went out there protesting. What happened to social distancing? And then when everything calmed down, right after they told everybody to protest, then they said, there's a spike coming up and people got to be very careful because watch what you guys are going to give. Stay home. You should stay home. No, you shouldn't go out. Wait a minute. You just told me to protest. Now you want me to stay home. Matter of fact, here's a tweet by NBC News shows you the hypocrisy of media. This is 2 hours apart of a tweet that went out. So first, NBC News sends out a tweet saying, "Rally for Black Trans Lives Draw Packed Crowd to Brooklyn Museum Plaza." And you see tens of thousands of people lined up, and they're protesting, and NBC News is fully endorsing it, right? 2 hours later, President Trump plans to rally his supporters next Saturday for the first time since most of the country was shuttered by coronavirus. But health experts are questioning that decision. Are you kidding me? 2 hours, the level of hypocrisy, 2 hours apart. First, you're supporting a protesting, then you're saying no because it doesn't match your narrative. So are you really journalists? Because when I look at the definition of journalism, there's three things journalists have to do. One is a verification, meaning data, correct data that you give, that there is some credence behind the data. You're not just making the stuff up. Number two is independence, meaning you're not imposing your opinions. You're an independent opinion. We're stating the facts. This is what's going on. And unless, if you're wrong, you're held accountable. That's what they call themselves as journalists, those three things. Number one, it's not about data today. Number two, there is no independent today. I'm giving you my opinion. And last but not least, where is the accountability? Who's gotten fired lately? You tell me the last journalist that got fired. These so-called journalists today are at best activists. Some of them are clowns, some of them are puppets, and some of them are purely entertainers. Now, let me not make everybody be in that side because there's a lot of them that are good, but most of them today are not journalists anymore. So why am I sharing this with you? Here's why I'm sharing this with you. Why have a media detox? Listen, I've been on a media detox for a good 4 weeks. I don't watch the news when I go home anymore. I don't turn on CNN. I don't turn on Fox. Every single time I read stuff. I no longer watch this stuff because they're going to sell me their emotions on what I need to be doing. I don't do it. I get stuff that I get on social media because I'm on it on a daily basis. I'm not doing nothing related with TV, and this is why. Here's why. You ought to make this consideration for yourself. Look, in my business, I have a lot of issues that I face. Meaning people come up to me with a lot of different problems. I run a company, we have attorneys, lawyers, challenges, cases, clients, many different things in the financial industry. And typically anybody that has a conflict with another person, when this person comes to me, here's what they always say. They always say what this person did wrong. They don't say what they did wrong. They always start off with, you know what he did? Here's what he did. He said this, he said that. And you're like, oh my gosh, no way. Yes, that's what he said. That's what he said. That's crazy. And I used to at first get rattled because did you read about what this person said? Okay. Then this person comes. What do you think they say? Do you know what they did? This person said this, and then they said this, and then they said this. Now you're getting rattled. Couples come up to you, say, let me tell you what my husband did. Here's what my husband did. Here's what my husband did. When then the wife comes, let me tell you what my wife did. Here's what my wife did. There's always only the argument that validates their argument. What the other person did wrong to validate your argument. That's exactly what media is doing. Our kids do this to their parents all the time. You will not believe what my brother did. What did you do? Yesterday I'm talking to my son, and I get a letter from school from one of his teachers, and this, he was kicking people all day at school. So I said, so tell me what happened yesterday. Nothing. I thought you kicked a kid in school. Did you kick somebody in school? No, I don't remember. You don't remember? No, I don't remember. I said, you know what I don't remember? What don't you remember? I said, I don't remember that I bought you a Lego to give you. You know you remembered you bought the Lego yesterday. I said, you went to school yesterday. What do you mean you don't remember why you kicked this kid? I said, if you forgot why you kicked the kid, I forgot why I bought the Lego for you. Then he says, I just remembered. I said, what did you just remember? And then he tells me the story. The media has turned into my 6-year-old son. That's what they're doing. They're only giving you the story that makes their argument stronger, not the whole thing. They will literally, if the video plays for a minute 20 seconds, tells the whole story, they will only play 37 seconds, but it's the 37 seconds that validates that argument. It's not journalism. That's called entertainment. 90% of all journalists must step down and become pundits. You know what's the difference between a journalist and a pundit? Here's the difference. A journalist reports. They verify, okay? They're independent. Here's the data on both sides. You make the decision for yourself, and they're held accountable if they screwed up. Yesterday, reporting we did was wrong. And if somebody screws up too much, they get fired. When's the last time somebody got fired? The only reason journalists are getting fired is because of sexual harassment, not because of what they did wrong. You don't see a lot of journalists getting fired at MSNBC, CNN, or Fox. When's the last time somebody got fired? I don't see it. Why? There is zero accountability. Now, I also don't have a problem with a lot of these journalists saying, honestly, I am not a journalist. I'm a pundit. I will come on the other end and work for CNN, Fox, and MSNBC, and I just want to give you my opinion on what's going on with the current situation. But I'm no longer a journalist because, quite frankly, I can't do it anymore. Now I'll respect the media. But as of today, journalists are not journalists. They're entertainers, activists, puppets, and clowns at its best, 90% of them. There's some of them that are doing a good job, and they are dividing America in ways that words cannot describe. My suggestion to you, go on a media detox. Maybe don't do it for a month. Try for a week. For 1 week, tell yourself, I'm not watching any news. I will read only. But for 1 month, I'm not watching any news. And if you're in for this challenge to go on a media detox, go on Twitter, tweet at me, use the hashtag media detox, or go on Instagram and don't even use my handle. Just put, I'm going on a media detox, and challenge your friends and peers to go on it with you. And watch what happens to your spirit, how it cleanses all the agitation, the frustration that you're experiencing. Because quite frankly, somebody called me in Hollywood who's a good name. He doesn't have all the money yet in Hollywood, but he told me, says, I am afraid to share my real opinions because I'm going to get crushed. I said, go make your money first. Make your money. Many of you are watching this right now, getting caught up in all these issues that are going on in the marketplace, and your bank account's only $73,000. Your bank account's only $22,000. Go make your money so that you can say whatever you want to say, and don't let these media people distract the hell out of you where your dreams don't become a reality, and all their dreams are becoming a reality. They go to fancy restaurants, they go to fancy parties, they go all these other places, they go take their 1 month vacation around the world. How about you? How about it happening to you? You are their customer. They're not your customer. Make them your customer. That's what you ought to be doing. That's how I think about this myself. So again, my challenge to you, if you have the courage, and I made my case to you where you said, Pat makes some sense, go on a media detox and watch what happens 1 week later. If you're committed to that, comment below. I'm willing to go on a media detox for 1 week. Having said that, have a great week, everybody.
All right. So hashtag media detox. I think we made, well, Patrick did in both cases. He made a good point as far as the media, right? I'm like, so hashtag media detox. Put that in the comments. All right, put it in the comments because it's crazy. It's crazy. I tell you, it's so much going on out there, ladies and gentlemen. It's just so much going on out there. So that completes my show for today. I hope that I gave you enough information to make your own decision. But like he said, if you cut out the media, just try it for 1 week, cut it out and allow your brain to rest, allow your body to detox from the anxiety that we keep watching, especially on Facebook. Oh my goodness, I've never watched so many watches. You know what I mean? So many videos on watch from CNN, from Fox, from this person, from that person. And like he said, I'm like, do I agree with this person or don't I agree with this person? If I agree with this person, then what is, looking at some of the comments that are there. If somebody is freedom of speech, right? Somebody's making their opinion and they get jumped in the comment section. Well, you shouldn't think this and you shouldn't think this and he's wrong and his statistics this and blah, blah, blah. And they start demoralizing you in the comment section. I thought everybody was right to have their opinion. I thought freedom of speech, right? So yeah, I guess you have freedom to comment, but do we have to trash each other's comments? So again, hashtag media detox. Let's take a break until our journalists come back to being journalists and not activists or not entertainers, until they can, what is it that they say? I forget, is this Perry Mason or who was it? Tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Allow you to see the whole thing, not just the segments that they want you to see according to their opinion or according to what they know you're going to thrive off of. So let's get our journalists to be journalists. All right, fam. Well, that is it for me. Enjoy the week. Again, Live Today Health Talk. Everything that we share, as you saw, it was not of me, but he brought some good data. So it's for you to become more knowledgeable so that you can make your own decisions. Thank you for joining us on Live Today Health Talk. Have a blessed week. #Media Detox. I'm out.